Plaintiff Tarina Freeman says heroin has taken over her town, and her daughter's girlfriend died of an overdose. Tarina claims her daughter is now dating the defendant, and Tarina's suing because she loaned her money for bail and she failed to repay. Defendant Tasha Vinton became addicted to pain pills when she was 17 years old, and she has struggled to stay sober since then. Tasha does not believe she should have to repay Tarina because she financially supported her daughter.
Start with you.
Okay, I live in a small town, Monroe, Michigan. We're between...
What part?
Monroe, Michigan.
Oh, Monroe, yeah, up the street from me.
Yeah, right between Toledo and Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of years, heroin has really taken over our town.
Really?
Sorry.
Like much of the country. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
No. You said it's taking over the town. You were giving me some background
Yes.
on what's happening with Toledo and the heroin epidemic that has hit, Monroe.
Yes, Monroe. A few months back, my daughter had lost her girlfriend to a drug overdose. Shortly after, her and Tasha became close and started dating. My daughter's been in and out of a lot of trouble and she's had her own issues.
How old is she?
22.
And how long has she had issues? How old?
I want to say probably between 17 and 18.
Heroin?
No, she, pills was her drug of choice.
What type?
Xanax.
Then what?
Well, this year she really went downhill after.
We're trying to kind of see what these gateway drugs are. She started with Xanax as a teenager.
Yes, well
then
what
was next?
It just got really bad this year after the loss of.
Just the Xanax?
Well, she liked to drink and smoke weed.
No heroin?
No, this year.
That's what I'm getting to.
This year after the loss is when the heroin.
She was on Xanax for 5 years?
Well, in between being on jail and rehab and stuff, yes.
Rehab for Xanax?
They sent her to rehab for alcohol.
Okay. Because my understanding is Xanax is highly addictive too.
It is.
Well, then you don't think she was in there for that as well?
She was on probation and stuff. She's been in and out of trouble, so they were drug testing her and stuff.
Okay, so my point is, I think I was trying to see how long it took to progress. Xanax, which first thing they'll tell you, that's not an opioid. It has the same effect and it's highly addictive. But no, it's not an opioid. Then the next thing, they do go to opioids. The Oxycontin, the Vicodin, and all the other things. And then they go from that to heroin. So that's why I'm trying to establish that track that young people get on who have not suffered an injury. A lot of people suffer injuries, get on Vicodin and or Oxycontin. By the time their prescription has expired and they can't get another one, then they go to illegal means. While they're doing illegal means and it costs $25 a pill for Vicodin or for Oxycontin, well, it's a cheaper way to get a more intense opioid feeling. How is that? Heroin. You can get an opioid high off of heroin for $10. When you gotta pay $25 for a high that's less intense than heroin. So that's the track we see these young folks on, the gateways to the other. And once they find a cheaper or a more intense way of getting that nod or that downer that they enjoy so much, that's when they end up on heroin. And so I just wanted the audience to know and to use your, I think it's trauma, to use your trauma to benefit some other folks. That's what it is. And I believe what you experience and what all the parents and children of heroin and I guess many of the other things, certainly crack back in the 80s and 90s when it destroyed 2 or 3 generations of black folks or inner city folks, experiencing that in the suburbs and the rural areas now, in the sense that we see the gateway, and it is traumatizing. And so you've done a good service to the world, or at least to a couple million people today. And so you will have told people how to avoid and how to keep an eye out for what is traumatizing and has traumatized your family. So you're gonna save a lot of people some trauma. So, and that's what anyone watching, if you have children or you're being affected or traumatized, your family, by this, try and find the light in it. Typically, there is some way, and we've done it today.
Defendant Tasha Vinton is dating the plaintiff's daughter, and the plaintiff claims they started dating after her daughter's girlfriend died of a heroin overdose.
You tell me some background, ma'am.
Well, like you were saying, my addiction started when I was 17.
What type of addiction?
I got on pain pills,
What type?
Lortabs,
Okay.
back when they had those.
And that was just to get high off of. Mm-hmm. Started with pills
It
to
was
get
really
high.
more of, not really, I don't know. At first it was just fun to get high, but then I liked the feeling of not having to cope with anything and not having to deal with anything that I...
Okay, so it started out recreational.
Mm-hmm.
And then it moved over into douse the pain of my other problems.
Yes.
Okay, because I need, and many people want to understand that as well. So, because some people, and I'm of this belief, is that people become addicted to drugs, hardcore narcotics, to douse the pain that they have in their life. And now you're saying, however, that it doesn't start out as the reason. It starts out as recreational. I like the high that these pills give me. I don't have no problems. I just like the high. Then once you further down the line, you say, well, that recreational high now gives me a high to douse the problems in my life. Okay, well, that's good to know. Then what?
I battled with addiction for years. I'm 29 now, so it would be a constant, I would get clean for a while, not be on anything, and then something will happen in my life. And I'm like, well, I don't want to deal with that, so go right back to getting high.
You go to NA? Have you over the years?
I've never attempted a rehab until this year.
Oh, this is your first time going to rehab after
Yes.
all these years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I've always convinced myself, and that's another thing, addicts will convince themselves, I can pull myself out. I'm fine. It's not an issue.
Yep.
Because that's what I did. I'm fine. It's not an issue.
Yeah.
I can pull myself
Can
out.
temporarily, but unless you go to those NA meetings, it doesn't last. Are you
Right.
going now, or you intend to?
Well, I'm waiting on my insurance to switch over so I can get back into the rehab that I was going to. And
I didn't know that you had to. I thought you just have a card that you show. Are you on Medicaid or you're on corporate insurance?
I'm on Medicaid, yeah.
Yeah, because my understanding is that's what the Affordable Health Care Act did. Or one of the things, Obamacare, is folks could go right in and have their drug addiction therapy paid for through their regular insurance card, their regular Medicaid card. I thought that was one of the biggest benefits, quite frankly, us having to deal with the drug plague, is that you can get rehab without having to wait 6 months, 9 months, 12 months before a bed opened up in a nonprofit location, because the government did not pay for rehab prior to President Obama. You would have to wait for some nonprofit that does drug rehab 6, 12, 18 months, God forbid if that was the way now. Maybe they changed it back. Then with all the heroin addicts we have now, you're waiting 2, 3 years if you have to wait on some action from an insurance, as opposed to going in and saying, boom, here's my Medicaid card, which should cover this rehab. That's the way I understood it to be under the new Affordable Health Care Act, but they have made changes. Hopefully that wasn't one of them among this heroin epidemic. So I hope you get it quick, because we need you in NA.
Defendant Tasha Vinton is dating the plaintiff's daughter, and the plaintiff claims they started dating after her daughter's girlfriend died of a heroin overdose.
Loan, how does she owe you?
Well, I've had a lot of addiction around me, so I understand addiction and people who don't have the support all the time. And she was arrested and she needed somebody to bond her out. For a couple days I said no, and the more I thought about it, I started to feel bad because I don't want to be in jail. I don't want my daughter to be in jail when she's in there, and I understood she didn't want to be in jail, and she told me she would have the majority of the money if I was able to bail her out. So I bailed her out.
And when was she to repay?
As soon as she got out, she was supposed to have about $380 of it. And then within the next couple weeks, I would receive.
You haven't received a thing?
No, I received $55 during that period of time.
What did she say last time you asked about the balance?
She just promises me that she will take care of it.
You're reading something, so what is it?
I'm not reading these, but these are messages to where she said she will pay me the money.
Let me hear from you, ma'am.
She's right. She bonded me out of jail. I had an agreement with one of my friends that was outside of jail that, you know, if Trina bonds me out, you know, will you help me a little bit? And she was like, yeah, no problem. Well, when I got out of jail, she never showed up. She quit talking to me. And this was one of my close friends. So it kind of messed with me a little bit. And I ended up not having the money. I was on a fixed income. I tried to explain to her, you know, I'll pay you when I, you know.
You have
can.
a defense today, or are you just saying you can't pay?
No, what happened was her daughter got into some situations and she needed financial help, and her family at this point was at a cutoff.
You helped her daughter? How much did you give her daughter?
Honestly, it was like probably about 4 weeks. I was bringing in like $200 a week.
How much did you give her?
I didn't give her money, give her money. I paid for her to live.
Okay, how much?
Maybe like $600.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, you just took a number.
Yeah, because.
All right, and did she tell you
you
no longer have to pay her because of the help you gave her daughter?
No, she did not. But
Okay,
I feel
then
like
you still owe. She did not forgive the loan based on what you did. So I'm going to grant her judgment, $560. Do you mind meeting with the producers and you all work on finding out the status of your insurance as it relates to Medicaid and drug rehabilitation? Folks, with this drug epidemic, you need to definitely contact your U.S. Senator in your state and send an email to them and to the White House saying that you want drug rehabilitation available to anyone who has health care. And you can also, you can also contact the Health and Human Services Federal Government Department. And lastly, you know, with this drug epidemic, you all determine how interested you are in what Washington does about this drug epidemic. Do you want free rehab upon demand? If so, reach out to your representatives. That's for you all to determine what's important to you all and how you can make your voice heard with those who represent your interests in the federal government. Good luck to you. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Congrats.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too. It's okay. I'm glad it's over with.
So am I.
And I love her and I'm sorry.
I love you too. But I'm not burying you or my daughter, and I'll do whatever it takes to save you guys. And I mean that. So if that means getting you guys put in jail, it's what I'm gonna do. I mean it.
I know. I love you.
What was your story?